Good afternoon, y'all. Welcome back to another video on the Luderco Arms channel. We're up in the shop once again working on the old Cherokee. So what we got going on is if you've been watching the channel ever since I bought this thing, there's two problems I've been chasing. One is it's not overheating but just running warmer than it should. And the second is it just seems awful sluggish for a 4-liter 6-cylinder. Now, it's the only Jeep I've ever owned. I've owned a bunch of GM pickups, S10s and Colorados with V6s in them that were less displacement and far, far faster and seemed to have more power than this supposed torque monster 6-cylinder that comes in this Jeep. So in the process of elimination, we've done just about everything to this thing. The cooling system has been completely replaced multiple times with factory original parts. All of the shrouds are in place. We have a ZJ fan clutch, yada yada yada, all of the usual things. And for the most part it does pretty good as far as cooling. The only problem is when it's hot outside, the transmission, what I think is happening is the transmission is warming up the antifreeze too much. I think the transmission's running hot. So the other problem, and this has happened more recently with the sluggishness, is the shifting is all out of whack. So after doing some research and everything, I've got this, I went ahead and bought this set of shift solenoids because apparently these things will go bad, and even if they're not completely bad, they'll cause slow shifts, a lot of slipping. Slipping equals heat. So I'm hoping that this is going to solve, or at least help with the problems. It certainly can't hurt because this is a 26-year-old transmission. And these are electrical parts that are inside the transmission, soaked in oil all the time. So, I mean, replacing them can't hurt. So if you need these, this is a ATP automotive set, and inside of it on the instructions it says, put my glasses on where I can see, Rostra Precision Controls. So whichever one you want to call it, you got the solenoids. So you got two shift solenoids, they're the ones with the orange wires on them, and you got one converter lockup solenoid with the blue wire on it, and it comes with some instructions and a couple of different brackets. So once we get the transmission pan off, then we'll go by the instructions whether or not we have the early style cable or late style without cable. I'm thinking I got the early style, but we'll know for sure once we get the transmission pan off. So since I've already done videos going inside here and changing oil in the transmission, I also got a transmission filter because there's no sense in pulling the pan off without changing the filter. Wicks, of course, Wicks filter somewhere. I got it laying it's over there on the other workbench. So I'm going to go ahead and get this oil pan off of the transmission, and then I'll pick you up once I got that off, and we'll go ahead, pull the filter off, and replace these solenoids in there and put it all back together. So let me get the pan off, and I'll be back as soon as I got that done. All right, so I finally got the transmission cover off. If you see me in the rest of this video, you'll notice I have a different shirt on because I took a bath. There's the shirt I had on earlier, covered in oil. I drained it from the drain plug, but by the time I wrestled the stinking dipstick tube and everything loose, that pan had filled back up and I got pretty much soaked. So on to what we're doing here, why we're here. So we got transmission solenoids. You got 1, 2. This one in the end and the one in the middle, they are the shift solenoids. And then this one back here is the lockup solenoid for the converter. So on our solenoids, on our new solenoids, we have, get back over here, the ones with two with the orange wires here are shift solenoids, and then this one right here is the lockup solenoid. And you can look at the chart here, and we conform to the early style with the cable type. So you can see the one stuck in the end and the one in between the two are both A's, which is the shift solenoids. And then the one closest to the converter is the lockup solenoid. And it has a blue wire. So I'm going to grab these two shift solenoids and we will slide under here and see about replacing these things. And then, once we get those in, we'll move on to the lockup solenoid. So hopefully I can do this in a fashion that you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So this is our first shift solenoid we're going to change right here. It goes in the back. So we got a little 10 millimeter in the bracket there, and we will break it loose, zip it on out of there, and we will unplug the wire from it like so, and then this should just pop on out of here in theory. Okay, it is, there we go. All right, so that's out, and we will take one of our new ones here, and shove back in the hole there. Now on these new ones, they have two wires. They have a black ground wire, which you need to ground with the bracket. And I'm not sure if y'all can see what I'm talking about here, but once I get this tightened down, I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the key to this is getting all this stuff kind of pushed up tight. Against there. And then we're going to snug our bolt down like that, and then we will plug our plug in like that. So there's one. Now we got to do this one here. This is our other shift solenoid in the middle here, so we're going to unplug from it, We'll go ahead and unplug from this too, because we know the longer one goes there. And we'll go ahead and break that loose. Unscrew it. Pull that one out. Our other new one up here, pop it in the hole. Once again, make sure you put your little black ground wire through the bolt so your new solenoid will work. And we'll screw that down. Plug that one back in like so, and then the last one let me hop up here and get the other solenoid real quick. Alright, I got it right here, so we'll go ahead and pop this bolt out here, and pull that solenoid out. And you can tell, so you can see that one's a little different. That's the lockup solenoid. So the new lockup solenoid will go right there in its place, and we gotta move this forward. Alright, so we got it plugged in, and then this bracket has to go on it, so this has got to turn a little bit. There we go, okay. Just like that. And again, this one in this kit has its own separate bracket that's not, it doesn't have a circlip holding it on. It just fits on there, and it tells you in the instructions to be sure to hold all this tight up against here when you tighten it down. And so we will do that. And we will plug our last wire in, and that is it for solenoids. Now I'm going to change out this filter real quick, because we're already here and there's really no sense in not changing that while we're here. So, as you may or may not know, these are there's 4 bolts in this thing. And of course, you'll have more oil pouring out of it. Just like everything you do under here. All right. Grab my other filter and I'll be right back. All right, so I got my new filter now, and you'll see on this new filter there's a cork piece right here, and it goes around a matching spot right here. Let me get you over here. There's a matching spot right here, same shape as that cork, so you know, if you didn't pay attention when you pulled it off, you'll know which way it goes back on. And so I will get this kind of started up here. Now on mine, all 4 of these little bolts are the same size, but I have heard that on some of these they're different lengths. So when you take them out, make sure and look at them and make sure that they're not different lengths that need to go in different holes. Hopefully they're not, like these ones here, they're not, so there's nothing to worry about. So I just run them up with my fingers. And then we'll take our little 1/4 drive ratchet and snug those up. There we go. So one thing we'll have to watch when we put the pan back up here is that these wires stay out of the pan. We don't want to cut them wires up. So we are done there. We've already got the pan gasket mating surface cleaned off, and we'll have to wipe it down again because every minute that this pan's off, there's going to be, oh, god damn it, there's going to be oil dripping on something. So, all right, now all we got left now is to get our pan, which is already cleaned up, and put our gasket on it, put the pan back on, and then we'll fill it back up with oil and see what happens. So that is basically it for changing the solenoids. Hopefully this is going to fix the problem I have, which is slipping and sluggish shifts, but we'll see. Like I said, if nothing else, 26 or 7 years old solenoids in a transmission, well, can't hurt to replace them. So I will get this thing buttoned up, and we will see you in the next video. Hopefully this has helped somebody out, gave you an idea. This is pretty simple to do. The biggest thing with it is it's just such a mess taking the transmission pan off. No matter how I do it, I always end up with oil all over the floor and all over me. So we will see y'all in the next video. Appreciate y'all watching and supporting the channel. Y'all have a good one.